Raiders football this season is presented by the North Brunswick Baseball and Softball Association, Route 1 Dental, and the Cal team at Remax Country in Milltown. This is the King James Radio Network, your radio home for North Brunswick Raiders sports, Restoration Place, Timothy Christian Tigers basketball, the Cal Ripken Baseball District Championships, the Ladies of Our Turf football, and the Jersey Basketball Association.
And with that, this is your Raiders Live pregame presented by the Cal team at Remax Country on the King James Radio Network. Corbett Thompson here at Steve Libro Field in North Brunswick, New Jersey, where tonight Raiders football is on the King James Radio Network as the North Brunswick Raiders take on the Perth Amboy Panthers in a GMC crossover matchup. North Brunswick comes in on a 5-game winning streak at 6-1, on a 5-game winning streak under head coach Mike Sipot in his second year. And Perth Amboy, the Panthers, they are at 3-3 under fifth-year head coach Brad Bishop. And so the Raiders are in the locker room getting ready, and Perth Amboy looks like they're about to go to the locker room. So with that, we will have some football in a little less than 30 minutes from now. And, it looks like a clear night here. Doesn't look like there's any sign of any rain or any turbulence in the forecast. So looks like it'll be a good night for a little fall football. The Raiders, 2 games left in the regular season for North Brunswick, trying to make their way into the state playoffs and trying to get a home game this year. Remember last year, they had to go on the road to Freehold Township, losing to the Patriots 17-13. And, of course, Miles Bailey 1 yard short towards the goal line there on the final play of the game. I saw a couple of signs. I saw them on Facebook too. I saw a couple of signs at the gate before the game today. One of them says 1 yard harder, and I can't remember what the other one says off the top of my head, but I did see it. What's that? Good enough isn't good enough. Yes, thank you, Mr. Jason Swain over there on the public address. He's right on point, boy. But yes, good enough isn't good enough, and so that's what the mantra has been: 1 yard harder, and good enough isn't good enough. And Nick Sipot, one of the, of course, assistant coaches for the Raiders, even had a T-shirt made up based on the Game of Thrones. And I wish I could. It has to do with the month of November. So, he offered me one. From Nick, I'm not. From anybody else, I might take one. From Nick, I'm not so sure. But we'll address that later on. But in the meantime, speaking of Sipot, I had a chance to catch up with the head coach of Raiders football, Mike Sipot, and talk about tonight's game and about exactly where the Raiders are in the season, trying to get to the state playoffs. Brandon Outlaw is a subject. He is in our Raiders spotlight this week, senior defensive back Brandon Outlaw. Brandon has had interceptions in 3 straight games. He is the first Raider to do that since Elijah Hicks in 2015. So, of course, Brandon Outlaw has really stepped up in the secondary for North Brunswick, along with Miles Bailey back there as well. So, and, of course, Bailey, better known for the offensive side of things, carrying the football. So Bailey, trying to get closer to another 1,000-yard season. And also, Bailey, right now, he has 716 yards on the season. But right now, Bailey is not that far away from the North Brunswick all-time rushing record. Miles is, let me see. Thank God I have enough light in here, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see. 500 and, matter of fact, where's my glasses? This is at the point of the program where, glasses come in handy. But 580 yards Bailey needs unofficially to become North Brunswick's all-time leading rusher. That is a record that is held by Aaron Jackson from back in 2005. So, with that being said, again, I had a chance to catch up with the head coach of Raiders football, Mike Sipot, and just talk to him about the season and about tonight. And so, with that being said, here's my conversation. Actually, I should pull that up first before I start yapping. But my conversation with Mike Sipot, I wonder if I should get a sponsor for that. That's another matter. Anyway, here he is, Mike Sipot, the head coach of North Brunswick Raiders football.
Here with Mike Sipot as the Raiders get ready for Perth Amboy, as North Brunswick comes in at 6-1, 5-game winning streak as they look to try to wrap up a home game for state playoffs here in the last couple of weeks of the regular season. So, Coach, first one I'll throw at you is, we were just talking about the 34-point first quarter last week against Carteret. Both of us pretty sure that that's a team record. Did you have any idea, when you drew it up, what was going to happen?
I mean, you never do. The way we came out, though, is the way I expect us to come out in every game. Sometimes when the ball starts rolling, that's what happens. And if you are on paper better than a team, and our expectations are that. So the way it happened, you really can't predict that. We didn't know they were going to fumble the kick return, and we score, and 2 plays later, interception, touchdown. But again, that against teams like that, that's what we should be doing. And 34 points is great. It's a record. I'm sad that they broke our record, but all records are meant to be broken, right?
The 2000 Raiders Coach Cy Potts referring to, where he played on as they scored 30 against South Plainfield in that 2000 season. Now, 49-7 was the final last week. You scored 12 of those points on defense. You mentioned the interception earlier. How important is it not only to make stops, but also to force turnovers and score points off of them?
It's huge. Being the defensive coordinator as well, I talk about that with the defense all the time. We do, as a staff, we do takeaway circuits all the time for those moments. We do an interception drill to know what we're supposed to do when we get an interception. It's not just, it just doesn't happen. You got to go over everything. So when we get an interception, we block the intended receiver, we find the quarterback. There's everything drawn up the way it should. Obviously, Brandon's was a lot easier than that. He just kind of, picked it and walked right into the end zone. But, we make that a big deal, scoring a defensive touchdown. Asaru was Johnny on the spot there, and it bounced right in his hands. And again, I point out in film, that's a drill that we do. It's a scoop and score drill. Not to mention Chris Arnold's safety, which is 14 points. Yeah. So, again, I was very, very pleased with our performance defensively. Anytime you can get a defensive touchdown, it not only we score points, but you take the momentum from the game and you kind of take it to the other team there.
I forgot to mention Chris Arnold there, but Cesaro Napier, you talked about, and Brandon Outlaw is where I'll go next. I talked about him last week, and I rarely talk to you about the same guy 2 weeks in a row, but Brandon Outlaw, another interception, third straight game. Last week you mentioned what a gamer he is, but what is it that allows him to get to the football and, basically make quarterbacks' lives miserable?
I think that the difference between Brandon last year and this year is that he's being coachable. Coach Byram does a very good job with him in the secondary. He's got his eyes where they should be. He's taking the right steps. He's got an extra step on the off-season working out with the speed and obviously being physical, which he always was. But I think he's matured beyond, just being a football player. I think he's matured mentally on the field, and I think it's making him a great player for us, and he's having a heck of a year.
I'll do a little injury report here. I know you have a couple of guys with some nicks and bruises, Manny Herrera being one. How's Manny?
Manny's healthy. He's ready to go.
And Rami Berberena, any timetable for him?
Monday's the day where we're going to find out if we have Rami back. If he gets cleared on Monday, he'll be ready to go versus East Brunswick. If not, I think we're going to get him back for the playoffs.
And then Chich in the shoulder.
Chich is fine, 100%.
All right. And speaking of now, first half, you had the lead there where you could take your starters out, close to halftime. Have you ever pulled your starters, or even as an assistant coach, have you ever pulled your starters before halftime?
No, never. As a player, there was some games where we didn't play the second half, which we did last week. But just as a coaching point, I wanted to make sure our starters played a half. And then after that, we kind of had extra time to get the JVs in there, which is great because any good program is going to tell you, you want your JVs to get that experience, and I think that's a great thing. And I'm certainly not going to try to run the score up on anyone for any index or whatever they have out there. I want the guys to play, and I want the guys to be together and play as a family.
Coach Sipot referring to the Born Power Index, which is a whole different conversation. But are you concerned, having only played a half last week? I know you guys, of course, practiced this week, but any concern of any rust or anything? No, because anything that I want the games to be that way, and we practiced. Our practices to me are harder than the games, and they should be. So any running that we didn't get in the second half, I know we got in at least Monday and Tuesday. Yep. Tajmir O'Neal for Perth Amboy. He returns as their quarterback. You saw Tyler Jack last year. Now O'Neal comes back. More of a guy in the pocket. What do you see from him? And obviously you having faced him before. When I was with Coach Zach, I was a D coordinator in 2016. Mm-hmm. So, and the quarterback that day was O'Neal. So I saw a lot. What I saw on film was a lot that I saw 2 years ago. He's a good pocket passer. We got to get pressure on him, certainly. He knows where to spot the ball. He knows. I think he trusts his receivers, whatever routes they run. So I think he has a presence in that sense that if we don't put pressure on him, we better be doing a good job in the secondary. And I think he's
a tough player. I think he's a good player, and we're going to have our work cut out for us.
8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year for O'Neal. Perth Amboy's defense, they have 11.5 team sacks. What concerns you about them?
You know, they bring pressure, and they got some big guys up front. We did a lot of work with the offensive line this week, make sure we're solid on our assignments on picking up the blitz. You know, we have a couple plays to, you know, if they do blitz, we're getting rid of the ball, or if we have a quick hitter running the ball. So we have a game plan to stop that, and, you know, we just got to make sure we protect our quarterback and make sure we have no run-throughs on the run plays.
You've always been good at getting guys to focus on the next game and not look too far behind or too far ahead. State playoffs are 2 weeks away. You're trying to get a home game. Is that something you talk to the guys about or no?
We talked about beating Perth Amboy tonight, and if we were to do that and succeed in that, I told them that you're just about guaranteed, you know, to be in the playoffs. No home or away guaranteed, but so our stakes on the line tonight is if you want to play in the playoffs, we need to win tonight, and that's really been the message this week.
And that's the goal for the Raiders and head coach Mike Sipot. So, Coach, thanks again. Good luck.
Thank you.
There you hear from Raiders head football coach Mike Sipot as we get ready for tonight's game, North Brunswick and Perth Amboy, as both teams are now in the locker room. And so the Raiders, again, 5-1 or 5 game winning streak, 6-1. I keep saying 5-1, 6-1 with a 5-game winning streak. And, you know, for North Brunswick, really, it's just about, and I have to make sure that I'm online here. I have to do my quality control here for a second. But as far as the game goes, and we'll get to keys to the game here. As a matter of fact, Brandon Outlaw will come up here in a couple of moments in our Raider Spotlight. But, you know, for the Raiders, obviously taking care of the football is premium. I mean, you can say that about any team in any game. You don't want to turn the ball over. The Raiders were able to force a couple on defense last week against Carteret. Now, listen, they're going to see a stiffer challenge here with Perth Amboy than they did last week. So we'll see if North Brunswick and everybody is up to the challenge. But, you know, it's interesting night in that it's not homecoming because that's already come and gone, and it's not senior night. That's next week. So there's really no special event going on around the game tonight. So I don't know if that, you know, plays a factor or not. Probably not, but you never know. But, you know, Perth Amboy, they're fighting for their playoff lives themselves, similar to a year ago when they needed to win their last 2 games to make the state playoffs. Now, if I remember correctly, I don't think they did. I don't think they did win either of their last 2 games, and they made it anyway. They had to get some help, which they got, and they made it in for the first time in their history. Perth Amboy made the state playoffs, so they're in a similar boat this year at 3-3 in North Group 5. So they have to leap. They're in 20th place. They have to get to 16, so they have to leap up a few spots. So they're going to need to win. Probably need some help to get into the state playoffs again this year, but that is what they're fighting for. They're fighting for their playoff lives as well. So with that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, Brandon Outlaw, senior, he is a senior defensive back and a slot back. He will be in our Raiders Spotlight, and so we'll have Brandon on the other side of the break. This is Raiders Live, presented by the Cal team at Remax Country on the King James Radio Network. All right, we come back to our Raiders Live pregame, again presented by the Cal team at Remax Country. My thanks to John and Dina Calandrucio, the brother-sister team over at Remax Country on South Main Street in Milltown. You can visit them at the Cal Team, C-A-L, thecalteam.com. All right, so we had a chance earlier today at the Raiders locker room to catch up with Brandon Outlaw, who, again, has 3 interceptions in his last 3 games, and 1 in each game, of course. And again, first time in 3 years that a Raider has had an interception in 3 straight games. Elijah Hicks in 2015 pulled it off. So had a chance to talk to Brandon. Now, you know, I'll warn you ahead of time. Brandon is not a guy of many words. He's pretty quiet as far as that, you know, concerned. Reminds me of my son in that way. But did have a chance to catch up with him before the game tonight. So here's my conversation with Brandon Outlaw.
Here with Brandon Outlaw in his senior year as the Raiders get ready for Perth Amboy tonight. 3 interceptions in 3 games for Mr. Outlaw. And so first thing I'll ask you is, you know, what's been the key to getting to the football? Is it just getting a good read on it? What's been the key for you getting those interceptions?
Taking my read steps. We practice that every day in practice. Take your read steps and break on the ball. Anything
coming into the year, like before the season, anything in particular that the coaches were working with you on?
My T-step.
Explain to us dummies what a T-step is.
Just point your foot like make a T with your foot, and then you just explode off that leg and come up.
Okay. You know, is it a goal goal? Maybe before a game, is it a goal to try and force a turnover? Do you just want to have good coverage on a receiver? What's the goal, that you go into with?
I try to get a defensive turnover every time I'm on the field.
Well, so far, last 3 games. What's the last couple of years been like? When you were here sophomore year, you guys had 1 win and now only 1 loss. What's it been like, just a total turnaround over the last 2 years?
Coach, he makes us work every day in practice. It's a big difference between 2 years ago and now.
And you just feel like that work's paying off for you?
Yes.
What exactly... as far as just improving whether it's on offense or defense, what are the coaches and what have they helped you with the most?
Like I said earlier, my T-step and just learning all the plays and remembering everything so I don't have to look at the wristband as much. And staying in the game, like playing 4 quarters, playing all 4 quarters.
Now, do you know how many pages are in the playbook by any chance?
4.
4? All right, so it's not like an encyclopedia or anything. Is it just the complexity of the plays? Like, in other words, assignments, things like that you have to learn.
Yeah, assignments, the routes. I changed positions. I was a running back last year, and now I'm a slot back.
Okay, I thought maybe you guys had like 30 pages or something, but it's 4.
Nah, just the routes.
All right. Now, as you head towards the state playoffs here, does it become more intense with each game?
Yes, it does. The more games we play, the closer we get there. And we're trying to win more than 1 playoff game. We're trying to win the whole thing this year.
When you get the ball on offense, if Bailey gets a break or Chris Arnold isn't there, is it, are you just obviously you want to score a touchdown, but is one of the other goals maybe just to pick up a first down? What are you thinking when you get the ball?
A score.
Yeah.
No first down to score.
Good. How does it feel next week is senior night? I know, obviously you want to think about tonight, but, senior night's next week. So what do you think, going out on the field for senior night, what's it going to be like for you?
Hard, knowing it's my last regular season game in high school. So I'm going to just play it and give it all I got like I do every week.
And then when the season's over, what do you look back on as your biggest memory? Maybe the pick 6 last week. What do you look at as your biggest memory, playing here?
The Woodbridge game. That's when Coach John yelled at me.
Are you allowed to say why?
Yeah, it's because we was 4 minute drill. We were supposed to stay in balance, and I didn't stay in balance. So I went out of balance by accident, and he yelled at me. And the next play, I got like a 40-yard run.
Oh, okay. So that yelling works. You can deal with it as long as it works.
Yeah.
And like I told you before, he's a Yankee fan, but he'll, like I said, he's all right. But my last question then for Brandon Outlaw is, you guys have shown that with the right coaching and with the talent that you guys can win a lot of games. What does it say for like the guys behind you, the underclassmen behind you? What's your advice to them to keep it going?
Just keep working and listen to what the coach tell you to do.
Hey, sounds good. Brandon Outlaw, getting nice enough to stop by for a few minutes. Thanks and good luck. All right, the rest of the year.
All right, thank you.
That was none other than the Outlaw, Brandon Outlaw, as again the Raiders get ready to take on Perth Amboy here in a GMC crossover matchup. And again, the Raiders come in at 6-1. First time in Raiders history, first head coach in Raiders history is Mike Sipot to have a guaranteed winning season in each of his first 2 years on the job. And first time the Raiders will have winning seasons, back-to-back winning seasons in general since 1982 and 1983. So it's been a long time coming. The Raiders had some down years especially from 2012 to 2016. I alluded to it last week. And so forth. So looks like the Raiders are getting ready to come out here and break the tape, if you will, from the cheerleaders. So what we will do, we will take a break, and when we come back, we'll have our keys to the game. We'll do this date in Raiders football history as well, and we will go ahead and get you ready for North Brunswick and Perth Amboy. So we will do that on the other side of the break. This is your Raiders Live pregame presented by the Cal team at Remax Country on the King James Radio Network.
Place. Speak to your bones. By First Lady Darlene Bazemore.
You may feel like you're all alone. You may feel like you have no life. You may feel like you have no vitality. But you must open up out your mouth.
Restoration Place, on demand on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com. It's time for another look at this date in Raiders football history, where we take a look back at North Brunswick Raiders football from yesteryear. On this date, October the 19th, the Raiders have an 0-3 lifetime record, having lost in 1990, 2001, and 2012, the most recent being 2012, of course, a 55-7 loss to Sayreville. That is a brief look at this date in Raiders football history. We'll be back with more of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
This is Christian Petrillo, and you're listening to North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
We come back here to Steve Libro Field as the Raiders are now out on the field. Perth Amboy will show up here in just a moment. Here they come now. No, that's the marching band. Perth Amboy will come out from the, looks like probably the far side over here, the far side of the field. But, you know, the Raiders looks like they're ready to go. And so, again, North Brunswick puts their 5-game winning streak on the line here against Perth Amboy as the Panthers will try to crash the party here as the Raiders try to make their way towards the state playoffs. So, I see the coaches behind me making their way up to the press box. And so, you know, Nick Sipot, just keep an eye on Nick, please. Just keep an eye on him for me. But, you know, with that being said, we'll have our 3-minute warm-up here. Here's Perth Amboy now, and they will come out and break their tape. And so, you know, keys to the game here for the Raiders, we talked about it in the beginning. Obviously, you don't want to turn the ball over. The Raiders did a good job cutting down on their penalties last week, so you can want to continue that trend. And so that's probably another key. And, you know, really, Tajmir O'Neal, he's a veteran guy. He's a senior. He has some idea of what he's doing back there. So, you know, you got to be able to, you know, keep Tajmir O'Neal at bay. And, of course, his running backs, Eric Rivera, is the primary guy for Perth Amboy, along with Kenneth Carrillo, and also, you know, their receivers, Brandon Sejo, and let's see, as I'm looking at my board here, Brandon Sejo is the main guy. You know, he's got 349 receiving yards on the year with 4 touchdowns. So he is their main receiving threat. But Osiris Acevedo also, you know, is a guy that can catch a couple of passes as well. Mario Luna, he is their tight end, so one of the big guys for Amboy. So the Raiders, you know, will have to, you know, make sure their checks and balances, and keep an eye on those guys and make sure, you know, they don't do too much damage here. But with that being said, it looks like we will have the captains meet out at midfield. Sean Berhini, Angel Gonzalez, Christian Petrillo, and Miles Bailey for the Raiders. No, looks like they're going to face for the national anthem. They're facing the flag, so it looks like we're going to have the anthem first. So, with that, we will break, and we will come back with our live game coverage of North Brunswick and Perth Amboy. We'll break. We'll come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
Dana and Lisa here from Our Turf Football to tell you that the Our Turf podcast is up and running.
Did you know that women make up over 45% of all NFL fans and counting? Here at Our Turf, we have our own take on what's happening around the National Football League, with special features, previews, reports from our official fan reporters covering each team, and interviews with players and personalities who have the scoop on what's happening. Women are in the know when it comes to football, and it's time the rest of the world knew it too.
Our Turf Football is every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
We are the North Brunswick Raiders cheerleaders. It's time for Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out.
And it is a pleasant Friday evening to one and all. We welcome you to Steve Libro Field in North Brunswick, New Jersey, where tonight Raiders football is on the King James Radio Network. As tonight, the North Brunswick Raiders take on the Perth Amboy Panthers in a GMC crossover matchup. Perth Amboy out of the tough GMC Red Division, facing teams like South Brunswick and Piscataway. So Perth Amboy has been able to hold their own at 3-3. They beat Monroe last week 27-7. Meanwhile, the Raiders coming in at 6-1 on a 5-game winning streak, beating Carteret 49-7 last week. And the Raiders scoring 34 points last week offensive touchdowns. So the Captains are out at midfield. Christian Petrillo, Angel Gonzalez, Miles Bailey, and Sean Berhini for the Raiders. Meanwhile, the captains for Perth Amboy, Kenneth Carrillo, Mario Luna, Hector Caba, and Brandon Sejo. Looks like the Raiders have won the toss here, I think. And so they will receive and go, or looks like they will receive anyway, and go from left to right. Perth Amboy in their white jerseys with the red numbers, red pants, the silver helmets. And they have the stripe down the middle there. For the Raiders, blue jerseys with the white numbers and blue pants, the blue helmets with the double gold stripe down the middle, the player jersey number on the right side of the helmet. And so we will get this thing started. Our game time temperature is presented by the Weather Channel as we are almost at 7 o'clock. So let's see. By the way, Mr. Jason Swain on the public address over to my right. Our game time temperature, again presented by the Weather Channel, is cloudy, considerable cloudiness with 56 degrees at kickoff. So looks like we will be ready to go. So Perth Amboy will kick it off here. Kicking off for Perth Amboy, Carlos Baldera will kick off. So Baldera will kick off from right to left. 3 men back deep for the Raiders. DeMonte Blunt, Miles Bailey, and Brandon Outlaw. Kick goes to the near side here and out of bounds at the 22. Blunt was the closest one to it, and flag goes down as that went out of bounds. So North Brunswick will start at their own 35-yard line. So 1st and 10 Raiders from their own 35 under senior quarterback Christian Petrillo. Chich is his nickname. 557 passing yards on the year, 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Oh, they're going to make him kick it again. So Perth Amboy will kick it again here from the 35-yard line. Well, I'll read you Chich's stats anyway. So, like I said, Chich with 357 yards rushing on the year with 4 touchdowns, 557 passing with 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So Baldera will kick it again, this one straight ahead, and caught at about the 16-yard line, or about the 13-yard line rather. Straight up the middle is Miles Bailey. Breaks a couple of tackles. 50, 40, far side. Miles Bailey, he is gone. Touchdown North Brunswick Raiders right off the bat. Miles Bailey. No flags and 87 yards for Bailey. And 15 seconds into the game, the Raiders lead it 6-0. Once Bailey broke those 2 tackles, that was it. Nobody else touched him. The Miles Bailey chants going out among Raider Nation. Aaron R. to kick the extra point. Christian Petrillo to hold. It's a high kick. And it is good. So Miles Bailey gets the Raiders off to a hot start. 11:45 to go in the first quarter. 7-0 Raiders. We'll break. We'll come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. We come back now to Raiders football, and so the Raiders off to a hot start at 7-0, 15 seconds into the game on an 87-yard kick return from Miles Bailey. Aaron R. with a line drive kick over to the near side, and that's going to go out of bounds. And we'll see if Perth Amboy returns the favor and makes the Raiders kick it again. Perth Amboy kicked the opening kickoff out of bounds. North Brunswick made them kick it again, and they kicked it right down the middle to Miles Bailey, and they paid for it. Bailey going 87 yards to the house. And it looks like Perth Amboy will return the favor. Brad Bishop maybe trying to get some luck from Mike Sipot there, so he'll go ahead and make North Brunswick kick it again. So R will kick. This time goes over to the near side, and it takes a bounce, stays in bounds at the 12-yard line. 15, 20, 25, 30, forced out of bounds. Tackled out of bounds by R, it looked like. On the return was Acevedo. Osiris Acevedo, and it looks like we got a penalty. So penalty will be block in the back called against the Panthers. So that one will bring it back. We'll see where it comes back to. So it's going to come all the way back inside the 20, inside the 15. And down at about the 10-yard, maybe the 11. Yeah, it looks like first down, Perth Amboy at the 11-yard line. Senior quarterback Tajmir O'Neal, 655 passing yards on the year, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for O'Neal. So first and 10 from the 12-yard line. O'Neal will take the snap, and actually that is not O'Neal. That is Tony Saucedo at quarterback. He hands off. Hands off to Eric Rivera. Doesn't get much. So Tony Saucedo in. I did hear that O'Neal might be injured. I heard that he was walking in a boot last week, so that could be the case again. So that now Saucedo in at quarterback looks like for Perth Amboy. So gain of 1, 2nd and 9 from the 12-yard line. Saucedo out of the shotgun, takes the snap, dropping back, looks, throws it right side, and completes it at the 16, and tackled at about the 22. Samir Session on the tackle. The catch is made by Hector Caba, number 14. And that is good enough for a Perth Amboy first down. Session has made quite the number of tackles this year for the Raiders, so 10-yard gain, first and 10 from the 22. Saucedo under center, takes the snap, and he'll go ahead and hand off, and not much there up the middle. Eric Rivera on the carry. And if I'm correct, that was G.D. Marcellus on the tackle. So 2nd down and 10 from the 22. Just a little under 2 minutes gone by here in the first. So this time, Saucedo will work out of the shotgun here and takes the snap, dropping back, 5-step drop, now runs. He's going to run straight forward here and runs right into Manny Herrera and Chris Arnold. So Saucedo trying to make something happen, but Arnold and Herrera there to greet him at the 25. Gain of 3. It'll be 3rd and 7 from the 25-yard line. 9.5 to go here in the first quarter. Raiders with an early 7-0 lead. So 3rd down, Leon Lowry on that defensive line. Tyshawn Parson and Samad Wingo. Looks like a 3-4 from the Raiders here. 3rd and 7. Out of the shotgun, Saucedo takes the snap, drops back. Here comes the rush. Steps up, throws it right, deep ball, and intercepted. No, dropped. Samir Session almost had it. There was nobody there in a white jersey. Somebody missed an assignment there. Samir Session almost had one, but incomplete, 4th down. So the Panthers will go not quite 3 and out, but. So Perth Amboy will punt, and this punt by Rivera, or check that by Saucedo, takes a Perth Amboy bounce. It goes past Tyree Geaston on the return and goes all the way to the Raider 34-yard line. It will be downed there. Downing that one for Perth Amboy is number 17, Kevin Carrillo. Also plays on the defensive line for the Panthers. It'll be first down Raiders. This will actually be their first play from scrimmage from their own 34-yard line. So 1st and 10, senior quarterback Christian Petrillo, we gave you his numbers earlier. Miles Bailey to the right of Petrillo. 2 receivers left. Coming in motion is Outlaw out of the gun. Petrillo hands off to Bailey, breaks 1 tackle. 35, 40, straight up the middle. 45, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, near sideline. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. 2 touches for Miles Bailey and 2 touchdowns. The Raiders lead at 13-0. The bailout plan is in full effect right from the get-go. 66 yards for Bailey. His 9th rushing touchdown of the year. 25th career touchdown from Miles Bailey. He is 8 touchdowns away from the Raiders' record held by Aaron Hicks. Aaron R to kick the extra point. Line drive kick. And it is good. So Miles Bailey electrifying Raider Nation within the first 3.5 minutes of the game. Miles Bailey 14, Perth Amboy nothing. We'll break and we'll come back in just a moment. You're listening to North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. On the ensuing return for Perth Amboy, Osiris Acevedo returns it from the 17 to the 30-yard line. So 13 yards on the return. Perth Amboy will have it. 1st and 10. Looks like they'll mark it at the 31. But the Raiders already have a 14-0 lead, courtesy of a kickoff return from Miles Bailey. And first play from scrimmage, 66-yard touchdown run. Trips left here for Saucedo. Out of the gun, takes the snap. He'll keep it himself. Actually, no, check that. That is not Saucedo, but tackled back at the 30-yard line is Brandon Sejo. So Perth Amboy lining up different guys at quarterback, trying to just generate some offense. No gain on that one. 2nd down and 10. 8:03 to go in the first. Raiders lead at 14-0. Bit of a sparse crowd here to start the game tonight here on the Raider Nation side. Perth Amboy has people scattered throughout over there as well. So now Saucedo back in on 2nd and 10. Under center, takes the snap, and he'll hand off, trying to go straight up the middle. Maybe getting 2 or 3 yards before Samad Wingo brings down Eric Rivera. Ball is spotted at the 37. So gain of 6 for Rivera. And that'll bring up 3rd and 4. 7:20 to go in the first. You hear the North Brunswick marching band off to my left. So 3rd and 4 here from the 37. And so Saucedo out of the shotgun, but we get a whistle first. It did look like Perth Amboy just didn't have their personnel straight, and they will call a timeout. So Perth Amboy calls time. And so we will go ahead and take a short break here, and we will come back to Steve Libro Field in a moment on the King James Radio Network.
This week at Restoration Place, Speak to Your Bones by First Lady Darlene Bazemore.
You may feel like you're all alone. You may feel like you have no life. You may feel like you have no vitality. But you must open up your mouth.
Restoration Place, on demand on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
We make it back here to Steve Libro Field with 6 minutes and 59 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and the Raiders with a 14-0 lead, courtesy of a kick return touchdown and a scrimmage touchdown from Miles Bailey. Perth Amboy has the ball 3rd and 4 on their own 37-yard line. And now Tony Saucedo and the Perth Amboy offense will come out. Eric Rivera will line up to the right. This is a split backfield here. Saucedo out of the shotgun, takes the snap and turns, throws it right side, completes it at the 37, crossing the 40 to about the 44. Before Tyrell Pereira, among others, get to him is Brandon Sejo. So Sejo on the catch, and that'll give Perth Amboy a first down at the 45-yard line of the Panthers. 6:50 to go in the first. Again, 14-0 Raiders. So this time, Mario Luna, will line up to the left, Rivera to the right of Saucedo. Out of the gun, Saucedo, 5-step drop. Looking, and he is sacked. I can't think of any other adjective for Leon Lowry coming straight through and bowling over Saucedo. Another sack for Leon Lowry, straight from the Bowery. Lowry, that is now his 10th sack of the season. Ball is back at the 36, loss of 9, 2nd and 19 for the Panthers here. 6:13 to go in the first. 3 receivers left for the Panthers. They have 4 wides. Saucedo with a back to his right. That's Rivera out of the gun, takes the snap, throws it over the middle, too high, incomplete. Miles Bailey on the coverage. That was intended for Casiris Acevedo. Osiris Acevedo, rather. It'll be 3rd down. So 3rd and 19 from the 36. 5:59 to go in the first. This time 4 receivers for Amboy, 2 to each side. Saucedo out of the shotgun with Rivera to his left. Takes the snap, drops back. This time a 3-step drop, throws it, kind of a wounded duck up there, and it is, is it intercepted? Manny Herrera. Manny Herrera comes up with the tumbling catch and the interception. Manny Herrera fighting through some injuries to get back on the field. For Manny, that's his first interception of the year. And so the Raiders will have another chance here. 1st and 10 from the Perth Amboy 48. So Christian Petrillo out of the shotgun with Chris Arnold behind him. 4 receivers, 2 to each side for Chich. Manny Herrera comes in motion to the near side. Chich takes the snap, hands off to Arnold straight up the middle, 45-40, and is pulled down inside the 40. On the tackle for Perth Amboy, number 13, Jeremy Fernandez. So looking at 2nd and 1. Just in front of the 38, Petrillo, again out of the gun. Bailey, check that, Arnold to his right, 2 receivers right, takes the snap, quick throw to the right, and Brandon Outlaw, 40, 35, sidesteps him in at the 30, zigzags across the 25, and down at the 23. And so Brandon Outlaw on a catch and run. First 23, so 1st and 10. 15-yard gain. Petrillo out of the gun, hands off to Arnold, goes right, crosses the 20, and down at about the 18-yard line. Just able to grab him is number 56, Jacob Luna for Perth Amboy. So ball is spotted at the 17, gain of 6 for Arnold. 2nd and 4 from the 17-yard line. 4:38 to go in the first. North Brunswick 14, Perth Amboy nothing. Arnold in the backfield behind Petrillo out of the gun. Chich takes the snap, hands off to Arnold straight up the middle, and crosses the 15 before he is brought down. So that will bring up, ball is spotted, looks like spotted at the 14. So 3rd and 1 from the 14. Split backfield for Petrillo this time. Or check that house formation and gives to Bailey. Bailey up the middle. Looks like he's got a first down before he meets the Perth Amboy defensive line. So it looks like a first down for Bailey. And ball, let's see where they spot this. Probably at the 13 here. Yep, now they will move the chains. 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. So 1st and 10 from the 13 with 3:38 to go in the first. And the Raiders with a 14-0 lead. And again, house formation around Petrillo. He is surrounded by Outlaw, Arnold, and Bailey. Bailey, the deep back behind him. Chicha take the snap and fakes the handoff, rolling left. He's got room if he wants to run. Throws it left side, end zone, back of the end zone, incomplete, intended for Aaron R. So it'll be 2nd down and 10. Chich had room there on the left side to run if he wanted to. Second and 10 from the 13. Ball placed on the right hash mark. So Petrillo will work out of the shotgun here. This time with both Outlaw and Bailey to the left. Well, actually house formation. Takes the snap, hands off to Bailey. Running right. Bailey around the corner. 10 and out of bounds. Inside the 10. And this will be spotted at about the 8-yard line. So looking at a gain of 5 there. 3rd and 5 from the 8 with 3:13 remaining in the first quarter. And again, the Raiders out to a 14-0 lead. So 3rd and 5 from the 8, which means the Raiders have to get to the 3-yard line. Petrillo looking to the sideline. And now house formation. Arnold to the left, Outlaw. Now they switch places. So it's Outlaw to the left, Arnold to the right, and Bailey behind him. Brahini in motion to the near side. Petrillo out of the gun. Takes the snap. And will roll left. Looking. Throws it left side for the end zone. It is caught. And that is Sean Brahini. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Sean Brahini catching his 2nd touchdown pass in as many weeks. And the Raiders, just as they did last week, are off to a flying start. It's 20-0. Petrillo showing patience there, waiting for Brahini to get open in the left side of the end zone. For Sean, that is his 2nd touchdown of the year, as Aaron R. will come on to kick the extra point, and we get a line drive kick or a high kick, and it is good. So with 3:06 to go in the first quarter, the Raiders offense once again doing work. It's 21-0. We'll be back on the King James Radio Network.
Listeners of the King James Radio Network can visit the King James Radio Network shop at jamesisking.com and get $10 off of your purchase with no expiration dates and no limits. Right at the top of the homepage is the My Locker icon. Click and customize your own KJRN gear from there, then use the code listed on the website for your discount. Sweaters, t-shirts, hats, bags, and all kinds of apparel to give you the look of a top-notch team or a top-notch individual. Thank you for checking out the KJRN shop at My Locker, only at jamesisking.com.
Aaron R. will be ready to kick this one off with 3:06 to go in the first quarter, and the Raiders lead at 21-0 from left to right. This is a high kick and caught back at the 6-yard line, actually dropped at the 6. That is Brandon Sejo, and he is tripped up. Tripped up at about the 15. I think Tyree Geaston or G.D. Marcellus might have got a piece of him there. So the Panthers will have it. 1st and 10 from just ahead of the 15-yard line. Looks like they'll mark it closer to the 16. So the Panthers will try again here with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. North Brunswick with a 21-0 lead. I mean, the Raiders' offense has just exploded here in these last 2 weeks. 3 receivers, 2 to the left. Saucedo will work out of the gun with Rivera to his right. Takes the snap. Quick throw to the right and intercepted. That's Sean Brahini. And he is into the end zone. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. 15 yards for Brahini. For the second straight week, after going 6 years without a pick six, the Raiders in back-to-back weeks have done it. Brandon Outlaw did it last week, and this time it's Sean Brahini. Aaron R. will come on to kick the extra point, and this is deja vu from a week ago. Snap, spot, kick, and it is good. Ladies and gentlemen, with 2 minutes and 54 seconds remaining in the first quarter. I'm repeating myself from last week. You heard me. 2 minutes and 54 seconds left in the first. Who are these guys? 28-0 Raiders. We'll break. We'll come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
Listeners of the King James Radio Network can visit the King James Radio Network shop at jamesisking.com and get $10 off of your purchase with no expiration dates and no limits. Right at the top of the homepage is the My Locker icon. Click and customize your own KJRN gear from there, then use the code listed on the website for your discount. Sweaters, t-shirts, hats, bags, and all kinds of apparel to give you the look of a top-notch team or a top-notch individual. Thank you for checking out the KJRN shop at My Locker, only at jamesisking.com.
We get a squib kick that bounces off of one of the up men and is caught at about the 16-yard line and tackled at about the 35 by Samad Wingo is Hector Caba on the return. So Perth Amboy will have it. 1st and 10 from their, for 2:48 remaining in the first quarter, 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line. North Brunswick 28, Perth Amboy nothing. I mean, the Raiders have just been straight fire since the beginning of the Carteret game. And now we get an official timeout here, it looks like. But I mean, the defense, all three phases. 1st and 10, Perth Amboy from the 35. 3, looks like no. 3 receivers, 2 to the left. Saucedo out of the gun, takes the snap, hands off here, and trying to go up the middle. Not getting a whole lot. Tyro Pereira there. Tyshawn Parson there. But Kenneth Carrillo on the carry. Gets it to about the 37, gain of 2. 2nd and 8. With 2:23 remaining in the first. And again, the Raiders lead it by a score of 28-0. 2 receivers left for Amboy. Tony Saucedo once again out of the shotgun. Eric Rivera to his left. And movement from Perth Amboy. And that'll cost him 5 yards. Looks like Darvin Lantigua jumped a little early. So 5-yard penalty. It'll be 2nd and 13 from the 32 with 2:03 remaining in the first. I mean, when it all goes right, it all goes right. I mean, 2 years ago, the Raiders had 1 win. They couldn't buy a break. And here we are. Everything Mike Saipot and the coaching staff has touched is turning to gold. 2 receivers left. Out of the gun. And takes the snap to Saucedo. And, gave it. Leon Lowry on the tackle. They gave it to Carrillo and nothing doing. Back at the 29. It's 3rd and 16. At the rate we're going, we may see the second straight game where the JV team plays the entire second half. And Carteret only scored 7 on the JV team last week. So 3rd and 16 from the 29. 2 receivers left for Amboy. Saucedo will work out of the shotgun with a back to his right. Takes the snap, drops back. Here comes the rush. Hit as he throws. Deep ball right side and out of bounds. Incomplete, intended for Sejo. Samir Session on the coverage for the Raiders. And that'll bring up 4th down. So Perth Amboy goes 3 and out here. They will punt. 48 seconds left in the first, which means the Raiders still have time for another score. And Mike Sipot, if you heard him in our pregame, he says he's not concerned with the Bourne Power Index as far as blowing teams out. Meanwhile, punt, and fair catch called for, but it'll take a bounce at midfield as Saucedo punts it away. So looks like it'll be at the 50-yard line. And that's where the Raiders will have it, 1st and 10. So 1st and 10 from midfield with 40 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. And for those of you just tuning in, I figure I'd enlighten you. North Brunswick 28, Perth Amboy nothing. 40 seconds left, first quarter. I mean, Perth Amboy came in at 3-3, so it's not like, it's not like Monroe, for example. Monroe haven't won a game yet. 1st and 10. Petrillo out of the gun and fakes the handoff, rolling right, throws it right, completes it at the 48 to Herrera. He gets a block, 40, 30, stays in bounds, cuts it in, 20, and he will be tackled inside the 15. No, being pushed across the 10. Manny Herrera. So a big catch and run for Herrera. And again, everything the Raiders has touched tonight is turning to gold. 41 yards on the reception by Herrera. 22 seconds left in the first. 1st and 10, 1st and goal from the 9. Petrillo with Bailey to his left, out of the gun, hands off to Bailey. He cuts it up the middle. 5, breaks a tackle, and still going. Gets to about the 4 before he is brought down there. It looked like Jared Starks for Perth Amboy grabbed the left arm of Bailey in desperation to keep him out of the end zone. And that will end the first quarter. So, North Brunswick 28, Perth Amboy nothing after 1. That's all I will say. We will break. We'll come back with the second in a moment on the King James Radio Network. In case you're wondering, over in Sayreville, it is scoreless after 1 over there. Sayreville and Piscataway doing battle in a huge matchup. No score after 1 quarter over in Sayreville. But in the meantime here, 28-0 Raiders to start the second. It is 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. Christian Petrillo out of the shotgun. Hands up. Nope, fakes the handoff. Throws it left. Completes it to Manny Herrera. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Manny Herrera on the touchdown reception. 34-0 Raiders. That was just a rollout for Chich there, and he threw it left and found Herrera. And the Raiders are starting to make this look too easy. So Aaron R. will kick the extra point here. Petrillo to hold. Snap, spot. R's kick is a short one. Does it make it through? No, it missed to the right. So misses to the right. 34-0 Raiders. 11:55 to go in the second. We'll break. We'll come back on the King James Radio Network. We come back here to live action. 34-0 Raiders. Aaron R's kick goes over to the far side. Caught at the 10-yard line. 20. And that's about it. Stood up and thrown down back at the 18-yard line. On the return for Perth Amboy was number 12 for the Panthers, Osiris Acevedo. So they'll take his forward progress at the 20. First and 10 Perth Amboy with 11:47 to go in the second. Raiders lead at 34-0. Coming up at halftime, we'll go back and do a little nostalgia. We'll talk to Aaron Carter from the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders. Aaron was the 2003 Middlesex County Defensive Player of the Year. So under center here is Saucedo. And he'll take the snap, hands off, and this looks like Carrillo going left, maybe gets a couple of yards before the Raiders stand him up. So it'll be second down. So Carrillo, in the limited touches that he has had, the Raiders have not given him much. Gain of 3 there. Second and 7 from the 23. 2 receivers right for Perth Amboy as they go from left to right. And Saucedo under center in an I formation. Takes the snap, and this time hands off. Trying to go off tackle right is Carrillo. And Samad Wingo gets him down, but not before Carrillo picks up a Perth Amboy first down. Across the 30. Gets it to the 34, so gain of 11. First and 10 from the 34. Clock running with 10:45 to go here in the half. And the Raiders looking for their first 7-game winning streak since 2003. So this time Saucedo again I formation and takes the snap, hands off, and straight up the middle, but Leon Lowry among others. But pushing forward is Rivera. Check that, Carrillo rather, not Rivera, Carrillo. Gets to about the 38, gain of 4, second and 6. So yeah, 2003, without looking it up, I'm pretty sure is the last 7-game winning streak that the Raiders have had. But don't quote me on that. Split backfield out of the shotgun, and we get a whistle. And let's see what we have. Delay of game against Perth Amboy. And for Perth Amboy, that's a manageable second and 6. If you're Brad Bishop, you're probably losing it on the sideline because that's a manageable second and 6. Now you're at second and 11 from the 33. Again, split backfield. Saucedo out of the shotgun here. Takes the snap and looks, rolls left, throws it left. Intercepted by Manny Herrera. He intercepts at the 36, coming back 35, and still loose. Breaks a tackle, and he'll be stopped at about the 33. So Manny Herrera with his second interception of the game. And the Raiders have 3 altogether when you count Sean Brahini. And so North Brunswick will operate first and 10 from the Perth Amboy 34-yard line. I mean, this is a Raiders team that's not fooling around. They have been all business from the word go. 9:15 remaining in the half. 2 receivers left for Christian Petrillo here. Bailey behind him. Now Bailey will move to the right. Petrillo with those pink sleeves, and we get a whistle. Flags down. We get a procedure penalty, or a false start, if you will, against North Brunswick, so it'll come back to the 39. We talked at the end of the pregame about, continuing to cut down on penalties. Now the Raiders, I think that's their first, if I'm correct, I believe that's their first one of the night. So 1st and 15 from the 39. 2 receivers left. Petrillo out of the gun. Takes the snap. Hands off to Bailey. Straight up the middle. 35-30 still going. And crosses the 25. Down at about the 23. Mario Luna and Hector Caba bringing him down. And you have to wonder if Bailey's going to cross 100 yards here in the first half. Ball is at the 23, gain of 16, 1st and 10 for North Brunswick. As Petrillo out of the shotgun with Arnold to his left and gives to Arnold, bounces off the line, going right. Arnold 20, right side, 15, 10, 5, dives for the end zone. Is he in? Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders, Chris Arnold. Arnold made a last-ditch effort, diving across the goal line inside the right pylon. Chris Arnold. I was tempted to say what you're talking about, Willis, and I would say that's Chris Arnold, but I figured that'd be a little cheesy, especially since the young guys don't even know what I'm talking about. But touchdown number 4 on the ground for Chris Arnold. 40-0 Raiders. Here's the extra point. Line drive kick from Aaron R., and it is good. So with 8:45 to go in the second quarter, the Raiders lead at 41-0. And, of course, at this rate, you'll see a running clock in the second half. We will break and come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. Miles Bailey has 93 yards on 5 carries so far tonight, and we are in the second quarter. The Raiders lead at 41-0. Hector Caba on the near side here for Perth Amboy to receive the kick, and Osiris Acevedo. And this one will go back to about the 5-yard line, and this is Caba, gets to the 20, and G.D. Marcellus makes sure that he doesn't get any further. And we got an injured man for Perth Amboy down on the field. So injured man for Amboy, and it looks like that is Osiris Acevedo. It looks like that is him. So they will check on him, and then Perth Amboy will take over 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. So while we have a moment for the injury timeout, I mentioned that we're going to have Aaron Carter coming up in the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders coming up at halftime. And I wanted to read you a text that he sent me because I actually forgot to ask him this question when I talked to him earlier today. And I had asked him about being Defensive Player of the Year in Middlesex County in 2003. And so this is what he sent me. He said, "A great honor. You work with your teammates to accomplish those types of things, and it's nice to see everyone recognized when the season is over. It validates your hard work and dedication. And I couldn't have gotten there without my teammates." He said also, "More so than Defensive Player of the Year, it was great to see the all-white division team. It was filled with players from our team. I think maybe 10 guys made it." So that's the quote there from Aaron Carter from the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders. And you'll hear that interview in more detail coming up at halftime. 8 minutes and 36 seconds and counting to go here in the second quarter. Perth Amboy 1st and 10 from their own 20. 2 receivers right, empty backfield here for Saucedo. And, no, actually under center, and he'll hand off. Check that, one man in the backfield, getting the carry. That was Luna, Jacob Luna. Mario Luna. Jacob Luna's on the defensive line. Mario Luna on the carry, runs it to the Raider front. Does get a couple, though. 2nd and 8 from the 22. 7:50 remaining before halftime. And again, the Raiders lead at 41-0. And again, the Raiders, I wouldn't say they're knocking on the doorstep, but they're at least in the neighborhood of the record 61 that they scored 7 years ago against South Plainfield. I formation here, and taking a snap and hand off, and straight up the middle is Rivera, but doesn't get much. Again, the North Brunswick front, Tyshawn Pereira up there, Tyshawn Parson rather, Tyrell Pereira there, along with Chris Arnold. And G.D. Marcellus as well. So ball is back at the 15. I checked that. I'm sorry. Ball is at the 22. My bad. No gain. No gain there for Rivera. 3rd and 8. The soccer lines throw me off. 3rd and 8 from the 22. And under center, Saucedo takes the snap, gives to Rivera, and he is met. Back at the line of scrimmage. And again on the tackle for the Raiders is Tyrell Pereira. And so got maybe a gain of 1 out of that. 4th and 7. Perth Amboy will punt. Saucedo will be back to punt here. Actually, no. It looks like Sejo. Sejo takes the low snap, and he's going to run from the 10, 15, far side, 20, 25, 30, all the way across to about the 35. And actually, on that was number 22, Carlos Baldera, the kicker. But he did not get... he did not get enough for a first down. So Baldera, he got the low snap and bobbled it, and he had to take off. Got to the 37. So actually, it looks like he did get enough. Gain of 14 on 4th and 7. So a busted play for the Panthers works out in their favor. That's probably one of the few things that's going right for Perth Amboy here. 1st and 10 from the 37. Out of the shotgun, taking the snap of Saucedo, throws it right side, and incomplete. Intended, I believe, for Sejo. And it looked like, if I didn't know any better, I would say he stopped running on that because the ball was overthrown 15 yards down the field, and it looked like Sejo just stopped. It was thrown into double coverage anyway, but I think you still have to keep running at least. 2nd and 10 from the 37. 5:52 to go in the half. 2 receivers right. I formation here. Saucedo under center. Takes the snap, hands off, and trying to go up the middle is Carrillo to the 40. And Sean Brahini and Leon Lowry combined on the tackle at the 41. So we'll call it a gain of 5 to the 42. 3rd down and 5 with 5:26 remaining in the half. If we get an update on the Piscataway-Sayreville game, we'll pass it along. But 3rd and 5 from the 42. Trips right this time for Saucedo. Carrillo to the left. Saucedo out of the gun. Takes the snap. Quick throw to the right and completes it. No, he doesn't. Chris Arnold made sure of that. Chris Arnold, he waffled Acevedo upon trying to catch the pass, and it's 4th down. Chris Arnold said, I can't do Dikembe Mutombo. I can't do it. 4th down, and Saucedo will punt, or is that? No, that is the kicker again. He'll punt it, takes a Perth Amboy bounce across the 30 to the 25 and down at about the 23 perhaps. That was Carlos Baldera on the punt. And so with 4:50 to go in the second, North Brunswick will have it 1st and 10 with a 41-0 lead at their own 22-yard line.
Hey, tell the PA guy to turn his radio off. They can't even hear him.
I think he heard you there. So 1st and 10, North Brunswick from the 22-yard line. Christian Petrillo out of the shotgun with DeMonte Blunt in the game. takes the snap, and he'll go ahead and hand off to Blunt, coming to the near side. DeMonte to the 25-30, back inside, and being held up. Jeremy Fernandez grabbing the upper jersey of Blunt. And let's see where the ball is. Looks like he stayed in bounds. Did we get a... I don't see any flags. And all right, ball is at the 33, so gain of 11 for Blunt, which would be a Raiders first down. So 1st and 10 from the 33. Jaden Myers in the game. He goes over to the far side. Petrillo with Blunt behind him. Lowry lined up wide to the left. Out of the shotgun, takes the snap, and he'll hand off to Blunt, but he is stuffed in the backfield. First one back there is Jacob Luna. So a loss there for DeMonte. They'll move this back to, looks like the 20, roughly the 27. Look like 2nd and 16 there. So Petrillo again out of the gun with Blunt, this time to his left. 2 receivers, actually Chip's right. Petrillo out of the gun, takes the snap, dropping back, and he'll try to step up in the pocket. He's tackled. Leg tackle there for Perth Amboy. Number 17, Kevin Carrillo on the defensive line for the Panthers. Chich looks like actually got a gain of 1 out of that. So 3rd and 15. .256 remains in the first half. And again, the Raiders with a 41-0 lead. And, you know, the offense, they're not playing conservative here. They're throwing it. Blunt behind Petrillo on 3rd down. Now to the left. Chich takes the snap, drops back, whistle blows, flags down. Encroachment is the call against Perth Amboy. And so that'll bring it to 3rd and 10 from the 33-yard line. But like I said, the Raiders are, you know, they're opening up the offense here at 41-0, so you can't accuse the Raiders of being conservative here. Jaden Myers comes out, Brandon Outlaw in. Split backfield. Blunt on the right, Outlaw on the left. Petrillo out of the shotgun on 3rd down, takes the snap, rolling right. Chich looks, and he'll throw it right side towards the sideline, and it is incomplete. Manny Herrera actually was over there. It looked like Eric Rivera, among others, was on the coverage. So it'll be 4th down, and for the first time tonight, the Raiders will punt. Oh, interception. Oh, so they gave him the interception. I believe that was Rivera, I think. So the interception to Rivera and the Raiders' first turnover of the night gives Perth Amboy the ball at the North Brunswick 43-yard line. 1st and 10. So Saucedo under center, I formation. Takes the snap, hands off. This is Carrillo and crosses the 40 down to about the 37. Tyshawn Parson, the big guy on the stop. And we get a whistle. Injured man down here for Perth Amboy. So they will check on him. North Brunswick athletic trainer Jackie Morrison out there as well to check on the young man. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. We'll give the interception after a quick consultation with Mr. Jason Swain there. We'll give the interception to Osiris Acevedo. But either way, it's the Raiders' first turnover of the night. But still, the injured man down here for Perth Amboy as they are checking on him right now. We have 1 minute and 54 seconds left here in the first half. North Brunswick 41, Perth Amboy nothing. Perth Amboy had a 1st and 10 from the North Brunswick 43-yard line after the turnover. So in the meantime, checking on the injured player here. So let's see if I can get, I have to figure out how in the world I'm going to get an update from Sayreville, where the Sayreville-Piscataway game is going on. And listen, it's important to the Raiders in that Sayreville is in Central Jersey and going to be in the Central Jersey Group 5, Group 5 bracket. So, the Raiders could be doing some film work based on this game. Piscataway leads at 14-0 with under 2 minutes to go in the first half over in Sayreville. So, again, the Raiders might be wanting to watch the film on this one and see what they can exploit in case they do run into Sayreville again in the state playoffs. Right now, Sayreville and South Brunswick are the top 2 teams in the Central Group 5 playoff bracket. And then Manalapan after that in the 3 spot. North Brunswick is number 4. And the Raiders can jump over Manalapan, but I don't believe they can jump over either Sayreville or South Brunswick. So they can jump Manalapan to get to 3rd spot. And I think that's what Mike Saipot and the coaching staff are hoping for. And so at least that way they would get a home game in the first round. And they could face any number of opponents. Freehold Township, Hillsborough, Edison, Hunterdon Central still in the mix. So the Raiders could face any one of those teams come state playoff time in 2 weeks. So it's anybody's guess, when you're dealing with the Born Power Index and the PowerPoint system, the readjusted PowerPoint system. That's a whole 2-hour conversation right there in and of itself. The Born Power Index and the PowerPoint system. But in the meantime, your injured man for Perth Amboy still down. Looks like they're going to try to get him up here. Athletic trainer Jackie Morrison for North Brunswick, along with, looks like Coach Brad Bishop out there. The young man is to his feet. Looks like he's trying to put some weight on his left leg, and that is Kenneth Carrillo. Yeah, they're going to carry Carrillo off the field. So maybe an ankle here, a left ankle maybe for Carrillo. They're going to carry him off. A couple of men carrying Carrillo off the field to the Perth Amboy sideline. So unfortunate there for the Panthers. Carrillo did get to the 38-yard line of North Brunswick, where it will be 2nd down and 5 with 1:44 to go in the first half. The Panthers are down 41-0. They do have 2 timeouts. So play will resume. 3 receivers, 2 to the left. I formation here for Tony Saucedo under center. Rivera, the deep back here. Saucedo will take the snap, hands off to the fullback, and going straight up the middle, that's Luna, looks like, to the 30. Before he is brought down there, Mario Luna. And ball spotted at the 30-yard line, gain of 8, so it's a first down for Amboy. 1st and 10 from the 30, 1:07 to go in the half. Perth Amboy better hurry up. They do have 2 timeouts, but if they're not going to use one, then they better get to the line. 1st and 10 from the 30. High formation, Saucedo under center, takes the snap, and again hands off to Luna, and he is tripped up by Blunt at about the 20-yard line. And so a gain of 10 for Mario Luna. And Perth Amboy will call a timeout. 1st and 10 from the North Brunswick 20 with 47 seconds remaining in the half. We'll break. We'll come back on the King James Radio Network. Off the timeout, Perth Amboy down to 1 timeout remaining here in the half. North Brunswick 41, Perth Amboy nothing. Here in the Raiders' next to last home game of the regular season. 1st and 10, Perth Amboy from the Raiders' 20. They've got one timeout left. And so Tony Saucedo under center in an I formation. Takes the snap, hands off to Luna, and doesn't get far. Herrera dragging him back. His forward progress brings him to about the 17. It'll be 2nd and 7 from the 17. 30 seconds left in the half. Perth Amboy to the line. I formation. Saucedo under center. This time he'll drop back trying to throw, and he is sacked. Samad Wingo back at the 27. Bingo for Wingo. And in frustration, Saucedo flipped the ball past the referee. And it looks like we get a timeout, Perth Amboy. But Samad Wingo on the sack. Number 7 on the season for Wingo. But Saucedo lucky he didn't get a 15-yarder there. Ball is back. Perth Amboy, they lost. Ball is back at we'll call it the 27. They lost 10 on that as it is. It'll be 3rd and 17 from the 27-yard line with 14 seconds left in the half. So Perth Amboy now out of timeouts. I would think they take their shot at the end zone here to try to get on the board. Samir Session, DeMonte Blunt back there in the secondary. Manny Herrera, Brandon Outlaw back there. I don't see Miles Bailey in the game, so that might be a sign that Bailey's done for the night. I think the starters will be done for the night come second half. Out of the shotgun here is Saucedo. Takes the low snap, drops back, throws it right side end zone. Nobody there except Samir Session for an interception at the 5-yard line. Comes to the near side, 20, 25, and out of bounds at the 30. Samir Session with his first pick of the season. And he is mobbed over at the sideline by about 2/3 of his team. And with 4 seconds left in the half, I would think the Raiders would probably take a knee here. That is the 4th interception of the night. And this one has been all Raiders. Ball was at the 32-yard line. So Christian Petrillo in what will probably be his final snap if the starters come out here. Sean Brahini over to the far side. They're spreading it out here. 4 wide receivers. They're going to go for the end zone, it looks like. Petrillo takes the snap. Nope, hands off to Outlaw. Off tackle right, 35-40. Gets a block, 45. Stutter step, 50. And is going to be pulled down at about the 47. And so that will do it for the first half. So let's see. If I had to add that up, that looks like a 30-yard gain for Outlaw to end the half. This one's all Raiders. 41-0 at the half. And so with that, I guess Nick Sipot can wear whatever he wants. 41-0 at the half. So with that as your backdrop, I had a chance to catch up with Aaron Carter of the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders. They won the GMC White Division in 2003. This is their 15th anniversary of that division championship. A wild year for Aaron and the Raiders in 2003. Aaron was named the Middlesex County Defensive Player of the Year, and we talk about that 2003 season. So here's my conversation with Aaron Carter of the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders.
Joining us on the line here is Aaron Carter of the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders football team. And 15 years ago, the Raiders won the GMC White Division, and Aaron was named Defensive Player of the Year in Middlesex County. And so when I went back and I looked, at that season, it was a crazy year for you guys because A lot of things happened, and I'll start with, first of all, you got a new head coach. Mark Zielinski comes in. He's your, first year head coach. I know he was on staff before, taking over. So when he took over, was it pretty easy transition? What were your first impressions of Coach Z?
Yeah, it was a transition. He was already on staff. We had a good group of seniors that had been together for a number of years. So we were already doing spring ball, lifting together. I think we did some type of, spring installing plays. So by the time the season had come around, we had already been working together for years. Not that much had changed on offense or defense. So it was a seamless transition.
And then, going into the season, did Coach Z, did he kind of pull you to the side and say, this is what I'm expecting for you this year? Was there ever that conversation?
I'm not sure that we ever had that conversation, but I think it was pretty understood. I mean, more so what he was expecting from us. I mean, internally, we had a lot of things that we were expecting of ourselves, different things that we want to accomplish. We had come off a bad season and we wanted to win. I hadn't played the previous year as I got hurt, so we were itching to play football.
Okay. And so let's see, if I go back to 2002 for a second. Yeah, I see you guys were 3-7. So yeah, probably itching to get back out there and fix that. So now the season starts, and first game, your quarterback gets hurt. Billy Carroll, he goes down with an injury, and on top of that, you lose the game. So right out of the gate, you're facing some adversity here. So I guess what was the first thing that kind of popped in your head when Billy went down?
Who's our backup quarterback? I'm not sure if we knew who our backup quarterback. It was Pat Brown, but at the time, Pat Brown wasn't necessarily Pat Brown, so he was a much smaller person. We hadn't worked with him that much on offense. He was a sophomore, so we were leaning very heavily on the running game, and I think our offense struggled a little bit in that first game. I think we only scored maybe 6 points or so. So it was we knew that defense had to do a lot, and we knew that we had to make some changes so that we could get moving to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
You lost that game 14-7, and then you go on to lose to Sayreville. And just so you feel better, I don't know if this will make you feel better or not, but historically, the North Brunswick has never beaten Sayreville. So no matter which team it's been, so you're in the same boat as everybody else. I don't know if that makes you feel better or not, but just so you know,
not much.
Well, and so you start 0-2, and then comes the Colonia game, and you guys beat Colonia. You shut them out, and you being a defensive player, you shut them out, and 25-0. And I saw the numbers in the paper. You dominate the game. You dominate the line of scrimmage, and Aaron Hicks goes off, of course, for a couple of touchdowns in a big game, and then you find out, I guess, a couple of weeks later that you end up having to forfeit due to what they said was an ineligible player. And I talked to Billy Carroll about this a couple of weeks back, and he said you guys were obviously, and I think he's still upset over that. Tell me what the vibe of the team was. Obviously it had to be frustrating, all the work that you put in to get ready for a game, and you win that way, and it gets taken away from you.
Well, at the time when all that was going on, we were frustrated because we lost the first two games. I don't think that well, at least speaking for myself personally, I don't think I ever thought that win was going to be taken away from us. I thought whatever happened, I thought that they had made a mistake and that it was going to be rectified and that we did everything right. So even though they took the loss, they eventually took it away from us. At the time, we didn't think anything of it. We just thought, okay, move forward. They'll realize if there's some type of issue, it wasn't intentional on our part, and it would be crazy for them to take a win away from us for something that, especially us as players, had no idea about.
Yep.
So it was later on when we figured out that it was I thought that they were still appealing it throughout the whole season. So I still had hope that, we won on the field, that nothing's going to happen to us.
Yeah. And so you went through that, and now, at least by your record, you later on it was 0-3, but at the time you thought you guys were 1-2, and you go on to win your next 3 after that. And once all of that kind of marinated, I guess, if you will, did it, you guys won your next 3 games, and you won, you scored over 40 points in each game. And did you guys try to make a statement? Was there something that you wanted to prove either to yourselves or to others that that's not, you guys can win player or no player?
Yeah. I mean, not so much about the player, but we had lost the first 2 games, so we were trying to come out and beat people up. So it wasn't really, necessarily to prove that we could win without that player or anything else. We had a lot of goals. We could still win the white division the first 2 games. JP Stevens and I think Sayreville were both bigger schools than us. So we were finally playing in the white division again. And it was time for us to, start going.
Again, talking with Aaron Jackson Aaron Carter. That, what? Let me ask you this. Coach Z, how did he keep your name straight? There's 3 Aarons on the team. You had Aaron Jackson, you had Aaron Carter, and you had Aaron Hicks. Did he just call you guys by your last name?
I don't know. He's a smart guy. He was able to figure it out. And he's probably known most of us throughout our whole lives. So it was, sometimes I do look back on it and think, oh, wow, Aaron's. But, when he was yelling at you, you knew who he was talking to.
Okay. All right. But talking with Aaron Carter of the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders, what position did you play on offense?
Tight end.
Okay. So tight ends, the receivers get most of the glory there. So tight end is more of a blue collar position.
Yeah. They would split me out sometimes too. So it was nice playing tight end. It was easy to get pop passes and tight end middle screen. So it was nice having the ball every once in a while. But yeah, I was definitely blocking a lot.
As did you realize, speaking of the other 2 Aarons, Hicks and Jackson, did you realize the kind of talent between those 2 guys and what you guys had, talent-wise?
Yeah, we definitely realized that. I mean, Hicks had been there the year before. He had a good year. We were there all summer, all spring, every day, lifting, running, doing whatever we had to do. So, by the time the season came around, everyone was in shape, everyone was focused, and, the talent was obvious. We were bigger than other teams, and, when we got the chance, we could really move the ball. And, you give Hicks and Aaron Jackson the ball, you run the ball 30 times a game, someone's going to break one.
And then you mentioned about the GMC White division, and you guys, ultimately put together a 7-game winning streak and went on to win that division. So did it mean something to you to win the white? You mentioned coming from the red and going into the white, which historically the Raiders have bounced back and forth between the red and white. Did it mean something to win the division there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because starting off the season 0-3, it's easy for a lot of teams to quit at that point. And we fought back every game against everyone, and to finally be able to win the white division at the end, it definitely meant something to us. We had bigger goals than that, but the white division was the first step. So we were happy when we won the white division, and we were looking forward to whatever came next.
Now, I asked Billy Carroll this also. I asked him if he believed that forfeit cost you guys a spot in the state playoffs. So I'll ask you the same question. I'll tell you what he said afterward, but I'll ask you the same question. You think that Colonia game cost you guys the state playoffs?
It did. It obviously did, because the way they scored the points system at the time, the fact that we lost whatever it would have been, it would have put us in either the 7th or 8th spot as opposed to being out of the playoffs. So I think we ended up tying with some other team, and then whatever the tiebreaker was, we lost it. So it was a specific point system that would have allowed us to be in the playoffs. So that loss definitely kept us out of the playoffs.
And speaking of the point system, I was going to say, you don't want to know what it is now. 15 years later, you would, unless you are a math teacher or a mathematician, you don't want to know what it is now. But I'll tell you what Billy said. He said that he felt like you guys could have won a state championship, if you had got in. Was that pretty much the mindset throughout the whole team?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely weren't scared of anyone. The first 2 games, your quarterback gets hurt. Billy had come back by then. So we were ready to play whoever, wherever. It really didn't matter to us as long as we had a shot. We had won 6 games straight. A couple of those were close, but we put up some big numbers on people. So we weren't afraid of anyone, and we were ready to test ourselves against whoever they put in front of us.
Do you remember what your best game was?
What my best game was?
Yeah.
I think the game I had the most tackles was probably, I think, South Brunswick. But the best offensive game I had was either Monroe or JFK, I think.
You may not be aware, there's no Thanksgiving game this year. So, it's a long-standing tradition with South Brunswick. There is kind of on the shelf for this year. There's no Thanksgiving game. Was that something you guys look forward to?
I guess at that time we did look forward to it just to keep the season going. I think there was a little bit of a letdown that we weren't in the state playoffs. So, it was another consolation game, but we wanted to win. So we did look forward to it. We wanted to have bragging rights. Every time you play South Brunswick, it's a fun game, and we thought we were better than them, and we wanted to prove it. But it was definitely, after we had just missed the state playoffs.
Again, talking with Aaron Carter about the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders 15 years ago, winning the GMC White Division. What was the best part of being on the team? Obviously, playing football, of course, you get to, run the ball or in the case of the quarterback, throw the ball, and on defense, you get to hit people. But what was the best part for you?
My teammates. We had come up together, for a couple of years. We had been playing. We really put a lot of work into it. So we were hanging out on the field, off the field. We spent all our time together. So it was undoubtedly my teammates, getting prepared for the season with them. We were all aiming for the same goal. We were all trying to win. We were all trying to get scholarships to play in college. We were all trying to, do whatever it took to be the best at the sport. So doing that and going through that with them was definitely the best part of it.
Now, I know you're in New York there. Do you follow anything with the team? I'm sure you probably keep up with some of the guys from that team, but do you follow anything as far as the current team and anything they're doing?
Yes, I went to so I have an older brother that was on the 2000 team, and he played with the Cypots. So I go, and now the Cypots are the head, I think Mike's the head coach now.
Correct.
So, we went back for a game either, I think it was earlier this year. So I've been back since Mike has been the head coach. and my brother keeps me up to date with. We have a little group text with some of the guys from the 2001 team, and they update us pretty much every weekend to what the score is and how the team's doing, and it sounds like they're doing well.
My last question then is, as an alumni, where are you at now, and what have you been up to?
I work in New York City. I'm a lawyer now. Graduated law school about 4 years ago. So pretty much that's I live a simple life. Wake up, come into work in the city, travel back. I live in Cranford now. So I do that, and things are going well. I live with my girlfriend, and watch football like everyone else.
What type of law do you practice?
Labor and employment.
Okay. All right. So interesting. Very interesting. So obviously your North Brunswick education serves you well.
Yes. Yep. Wouldn't trade it.
All right. So there you go. Aaron Carter again, talking about that 2003 Raiders team that won the GMC White division. And like I mentioned at the start, crazy year from new head coach, losing your starting quarterback in the first game, and then forfeiting the third game, and going through all of that to still win the division is pretty wild. So, Mr. Carter, thank you for some time, and I appreciate it. And feel free, keep in touch, and congratulations, 15 years later, and good luck to you guys.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for doing this. And go Raiders! I hope they make the state playoffs and make a run at it this year.
The King James Radio Network is now accepting inquiries this summer to broadcast games on our King James Jr. channel. If you have a youth baseball, basketball, or football game in the state of New Jersey that you want to be heard on the air, please send an email to kingjamesradio1@gmail.com with the date and time that you're looking for, and we'll let you know if we can make it. Inquiries are not guaranteed to be accepted, based on a combination of availability and first come, first serve. We look forward to broadcasting your game on King James Jr., a channel of the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com. Listeners of the King James Radio Network can visit the King James Radio Network shop at jamesisking.com and get $10 off of your purchase with no expiration dates and no limits. Right at the top of the homepage is the My Locker icon. Click and customize your own KJRN gear from there, then use the code listed on the website for your discount. Sweaters, t-shirts, hats, bags, and all kinds of apparel to give you the look of a top-notch team or a top-notch individual. Thank you for checking out the KJRN shop at My Locker, only at jamesisking.com.
All right, so we come back here as we get ready for the second half. 41-0, the Raiders lead it as the second half warm-ups are underway. Still, we'll get you some halftime numbers here, and then we'll get you ready here for the second half. Let's see. I'll see if I can figure this out real quick. For Perth Amboy, Tony Saucedo, 2 of 11 for 18 yards with 4 interceptions. So 3 carries for minus 16, a pair of sacks thrown in. So, Perth Amboy just hasn't happened for him. Kenneth Carrillo, he's been kind of sort of their bright spot. 7 carries, 27 yards. Mario Luna, 4 carries for 23. Carlos Baldera on the fake, or not the fake punt, but the busted play. He got a low snap and he had to run. 1 carry, 14 yards. Hector Caba, 1 reception for 10. Brandon Sejo, 1 reception for 8. So if you add all of that up, let's see, 50, 64, take away the 16. So Perth Amboy has, I believe, 66 yards of total offense in the first half. For the Raiders, Miles Bailey, 5 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Christian Petrillo, 4 of 6 for 68 yards with 2 touchdown passes. DeMonte Blunt, 2 carries for 5. Brandon Outlaw, 1 carry for 30. Manny Herrera, 2 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Sean Brahini, 1 catch for 8 and a touchdown. Outlaw, in addition to his 30 yards on the ground, also has a catch for 15 yards. So those are your numbers for the Raiders as we get ready here for the second half. So the Raiders receive the. They say they can't hear you. The Raiders received the opening kickoff, and you saw what Miles Bailey did with that. So Perth Amboy, or at least you heard anyway, Perth Amboy will receive the second half kickoff here. And again, Perth Amboy in their white jerseys with the red numbers, red pants. And they will, let's see which direction they go in. The Raiders in their blue jerseys with the white numbers, blue pants, with the blue helmet and the double gold stripe with the player jersey number on the right side of the helmet. So the Raiders will kick from left to right here. R&R will kick it. And it looks like Acevedo is back deep for Perth Amboy along with Hector Caba. I see Jackie Morrison, the athletic trainer, with the cart down there. Our line drive kick. It'll go to the near side, picked up at about the 13 by Acevedo, and he runs it all the way back to the 30 before he is stopped and driven back. And so it'll be first down and 10 for Perth Amboy here. 20 seconds gone by. There's a running clock here in the second half with the Raiders up 41-0, so the clock will continue to run unless Perth Amboy can score 7 points. Oh, penalty. No, there's a penalty right now? Yeah. Oh, it's flagged down. So the clock will stop. Clock will stop on the penalty. I did not catch that. The flag. So it must have been some type of block in the back or something on the return. So Perth Amboy will have it first and 10 on the 20 with 11:25 to go and counting here in the third. And again, running clock here in the second half unless Perth Amboy can put up 7 points. So Tony Saucedo, as Perth Amboy gets their personnel in, he's under center, high formation. Saucedo will take the snap and gives to Eric Rivera, and he is dropped by Manny Herrera back at the 18-yard line and strikes a pose after that. So looks like a loss of 1 perhaps. 2nd and 11 from the 19. So the starters, at least on defense, are out there for the Raiders. So maybe Mike Saipot wants to try to get the starters as much time as possible here. The Raiders will play East Brunswick next week. East Brunswick has yet to win a game. They're in a battle against Monroe, a pair of winless teams in that one. 2nd down and 11, I formation. Saucedo under center, takes the snap, hands off, and straight up the middle here. I believe that is Rivera. And Samad Wingo right there. So maybe he gets a yard back to the original line of scrimmage. No, give him 2 yards. Give him 2 yards. Gain of 2. 3rd and 9 from the 21. And 2 minutes gone by here in the third. So unless something totally unforeseen happens, the Raiders will win their 7th straight game. So under center is Saucedo. And now he looks up when we get a whistle. And I didn't see the call as of yet. I see the referee, I believe that is referee James Dolan over there. Encroachment. Oh, false start against Perth Amboy. I only remember the referee's name because it's James Dolan. Of course, synonymous with James Dolan, owner of the Knicks and Rangers, who is probably the most hated man in New York City. I don't want to put that on this guy, but 3rd and 14 from the 16 for Perth Amboy. 2 receivers left. Saucedo under center takes the snap, hands off to Rivera, bounces off a tackle, and makes his way across the 20, probably about to the 22. almost went down on his own there. Nobody really grabbed him. They'll give Tyshawn Parson credit for the tackle. So, gain of 7. We'll call it 4th and 7 from the 23. Baldera will punt. Stands at his own 6. High kick gets it away. Tyree Geeston will let it bounce. And down at the 45 by number 58 for Perth Amboy. That would be Aaron Fernandez. So the Raiders will have it 1st and 10. And again, we'll see. Looks like the starters will make it back onto the field here for at least the first series of the second half. And again, we'll see how long Mike Sipot goes here with the starters. He pulled the starters after, halftime, or even actually right before halftime last week. 1st and 10 from the 44 of Perth Amboy. Petrillo with Bailey behind him. 2 receivers left. Herrera in motion to the far side. And we get a whistle flag down. And false start against the Raiders. So it'll be 1st and 15 from the Perth Amboy 49. Running clock, 7:55 to go in the third. Raiders lead at 41-0. 2 receivers left. Aaron R. wide to the right. Petrillo out of the shotgun. Bailey behind him. Herrera in motion to the far side. Petrillo takes the snap. Pitches to Bailey. And 50, left side, 40. Dances his way across the 30. Spins, 25. And down to about the 22. And that will give Bailey over 100 yards for the night. Oh, never mind. Take that away. It's coming back. Holding against the Raiders. So it'll come back. Again, Bailey with 93 yards in the first half, but he would have had well over 100, but it comes back. And so we get a whistle here, official timeout. And the clock will stop with 7:14 remaining in the third. Oh, injury timeout. Injured man for Perth Amboy. That is Acevedo. Yes, thank you, Mr. Jason Swain. Right on the spot tonight. I tell you, boy, he's 2 for 2 tonight. You're one of the few. But Asiri Acevedo is the injured man for Perth Amboy, so athletic trainer Jackie Morrison will be out to check on him. So we'll take ourselves a break here, and we'll come back in a moment. 7:14 to go in the third. Raiders lead it 41-0. We'll be back on the King James Radio Network.
The King James Radio Network is now accepting inquiries this summer to broadcast games on our King James Jr. channel. If you have a youth baseball, basketball, or football game in the state of New Jersey that you want to be heard on the air, please send an email to kingjamesradio1@gmail.com with the date and time that you're looking for, and we'll let you know if we can make it. Inquiries are not guaranteed to be accepted based on a combination of availability and first come, first serve. We look forward to broadcasting your game on King James Jr., a channel of the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
Raiders football this season is presented by the North Brunswick Baseball and Softball Association, Route 1 Dental, and the Cal team at Remax Country in Milltown.
It's time for another look at this date in Raiders football history, where we take a look back at North Brunswick Raiders football from yesteryear. On this date, October the 19th, the Raiders have an 0-3 lifetime record, having lost in 1990, 2001, and 2012, the most recent being 2012, of course, a 55-7 loss to Sayreville. That is a brief look at this date in Raiders football history. We'll be back with more of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. This week at Restoration Place, Speak to Your Bones by First Lady Darlene Bazemore.
You may feel like you're all alone. You may feel like you have no life. You may feel like you have no vitality. But you must open up your mouth.
Restoration Place, on demand on the King James Radio Network at jamesisking.com.
after the injury timeout, Osiris Acevedo able to walk off. And so play will resume with 1st and 24 here for the Raiders. From their own 45-yard line, they have to get to the Perth Amboy 34. So first and very long here. 2 receivers left. Petrillo out of the gun with Bailey in motion to the near side. He'll line up in the slot right. Chich takes the snap. Drops back. Looking. Here comes the rush. Chich running. Coming to the near side. Chich running. And 40, 45. Stays in bounds. And down at about the 47 is Petrillo. Let's see. Actually, they'll mark him back at... They'll mark him back at the Raider 44, so loss of a yard. So, unfortunately for Chich, a lot of running, but -1. 2nd and 25 now from the 44. Clock running with 6:20 to go in the third quarter. Running clock, the Raiders lead it 41-0 here against Perth Amboy. Bailey behind Petrillo now moves to the right. Chich out of the gun, takes the snap, drops back, looking, throws a deep ball right side, and Aaron Orr makes the catch along the sideline. Orr making the catch with Darvin Lantigua right on him. So Orr on the catch, and it's good enough for a Raiders first down at the Perth Amboy 33-yard line. So, gain of 23. 1st and 10 from the Amboy 33-yard line. Petrillo will work out of the shotgun here as Chich looks to the sideline. So, Petrillo out of the gun with Bailey to his left, takes the snap, drops back, and Petrillo's going to be sacked, it looks like. Back at the 45. And so the sack. The Raiders are going to be called for holding, but the sack will go to Jeremy Fernandez. I would think that Perth Amboy would probably decline this. It is declined. So, yeah, they declined the holding call, so sack for Fernandez. Brings it all the way back to the Perth Amboy 43, so loss of 10. I believe it's 2nd and 20 from the 43 as Petrillo gives, and, well, nothing there for Miles Bailey. Eric Rivera partially on the stop, along with number 99, Edward Savanon. And so, ball back at the 46, 3rd and 23. Bailey to the right of Petrillo, 2 receivers left and right, out of the gun. Petrillo takes the snap, drops back, dumps it off to Bailey at the 50, and he's tackled there. The Raiders could get nothing going on that drive. Mario Luna on the tackle. And so let's see where the ball is. Now the clock is still running with 3:55 to go here in the third. Again, keep in mind, running clock here in the second half. Looks like they're going to spot it at the North Brunswick 48. So loss of 2. 4th and 25. Aaron R. will punt for only the second time tonight. Back deep for Perth Amboy. Standing at his own 19. As R almost had that blocked. Is Hector Caba. He'll let this, actually, no, they'll return it. Gets to about the 30. It was returned for Perth Amboy. Now, I do not have a number 6 on my roster here, so let me see if I can figure that one out. On the return, number 6, Nestor Caba. So there is a Nestor Caba, not to be confused with Hector Caba. Listen, I just read it off the screen, okay? 1st and 10 for the Raiders from their own 32-yard line with 2:49 and counting to go here in the third quarter. And the Raiders again lead it 41-0. First and 10 for Perth Amboy. I hope I didn't say Raiders. Says I formation. Saucedo hands off. Going right is Nestor Caba. And he crosses the 40 to about the 41 before Sean Brahini tackles him. So ball at the 41. Gain of 9. 2nd and 1. The starters are still in for North Brunswick here. So I think Mike Sipot wants to, like I said, try to get them some ample playing time here. Under center is Saucedo. He takes the snap, and he'll fake the handoff, dropping back. Actually, nope, check that. He gave to Caba again, Nestor Caba. This time he's dropped in the backfield. Brahini, among others, getting to Nestor. Loss of 3. It'll be 3rd and 4 from the 38 with 1:40 to go in the third. So again, the Raiders have certainly shown that they can beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. And this time, we'll hand off to Nestor Caba, crosses the 40, gets down to about the 42. Tackle made by Amon Maiden. So that'll bring up 4th down. We'll see if Perth Amboy goes for it here. Or did they? No, wait a minute. They got enough for the first. To the 43. So gain of 5 on 3rd down. 1st and 10 Perth Amboy from the 43. 51 seconds left to go in the third. So 1st and 10. I formation. Saucedo under center. Takes the snap, hands off, and this is Rivera, crosses the 45, gets to about the 47. Samad Wingo on the tackle. Probably the last play of the quarter right here, I would think. Gain of 4, 2nd down and 6 from the Perth Amboy 47. So with 13 seconds left in the third, probably the final play of the quarter here. Under center is Saucedo. We get movement on the Raiders' defensive line. Flag down. Clock stops with 6 seconds left in the third. Now, movement against Perth Amboy. Now, if I'm correct, when the ref signals, the clock will start again. Which means Perth Amboy had better be on the line when it does. 2nd and 11 from the 42. Nope, that'll end the third quarter. So Perth Amboy never, and like I said, Perth Amboy never saw it coming. That ends the third. So we played 3. 41-0 Raiders. We'll break. We'll come back with the fourth in a moment on the King James Radio Network. All right, fourth quarter. 41-0 North Brunswick here over Perth Amboy. As the Raiders look to try and pitch the shutout here. For Perth Amboy to be 2nd and 11 from their own 42-yard line. And again, the starters are still in for North Brunswick here. So Perth Amboy in I formation. Tony Saucedo at quarterback. Takes the snap, hands off, and trying to go straight up the middle before being stopped. Looked like Lowry on the stop there, and Eric Rivera on the carry. Ball is at the 44, so a gain of 2. It'll be 3rd down and 9. .754 remains over in Sayreville. Piscataway still leading 14-0. So 3rd down and 9 from the 44. And this time out of the shotgun will be Saucedo, split backfield, and we get movement. Jacob Luna moved, and thus flag down. So false start against Perth Amboy. So that will bring us to 3rd and 14 from the 49. Again, running clock, 10:35 to go in the 4th. Again, split backfield here for Amboy. And out of the shotgun, Saucedo takes his drop and throws it left, completes it to Luna at the 40, and Chris Arnold knocks him down from there. Mario Luna on the catch. Arnold on the tackle. Ball spotted at the 41. So it'll be 4th down. So, Baldera will be back to punt. Low snap, takes a bounce. He'll run 30. Let's see if he can do it again. 35, nope. G.D. Marcellus this time grabs him. So, second time was not the charm for Baldera. And I should tell Jason Swain that's G.D. Marcellus there, number 14. It's a change on the roster. So, with that, it'll be 1st and 10 North Brunswick. Ball is spotted at the Perth Amboy 36-yard line. So, house formation around Petrillo here. Outlaw, Bailey, and Arnold, and they give to Bailey. He goes off tackle left, 30, left side, 20, breaks the tackle out of bounds, inside the 20. And that run should give Miles Bailey over 100 for the night. He had 93. He had one called back on a hold, and Bailey's going to come out. So I think that'll be it for Miles. Ball is spotted at the 20-yard line. Gain of 16, 1st down and 10 Raiders. Again, house formation around Petrillo. Osaru Napier now in. He's to the left, Brandon Outlaw to the right, and Chris Arnold in the backfield takes the snap, hands off to Arnold, but he is stood up. And Mario Luna there to finish it off, but for Perth Amboy, getting there first for the Panthers was number 9, Henry Carino. So ball spotted at the 22. It'll be 2nd and 12. Again, house formation around Petrillo. Takes the snap and hands off to Bailey off tackle right and gets to about the 5, close to the 15, about the 16. Now, I thought for sure Bailey would be done, but he's back in. So 3rd down and 6 from the 16. And I hear the coaches up top saying, get the field goal unit ready. So we could see a field goal from Aaron R. here if the Raiders don't convert this 3rd down. Petrillo out of the shotgun. Bailey to his right. Takes the snap. Hands off to Bailey. Goes left. And dragged down by Mario Luna at about the 13. And that'll be short of a 1st down. And it looks like we will see the field goal unit come out here. It'll be 4th and 3 from the 13. This would be a 30-yard field goal for Aaron R. The Raiders have not kicked 3 field goals in a season since 2008. So, nope, they're going to go for it. I guess Mike Saipot had other ideas. Petrillo out of the gun. Takes the snap on 4th and 3. Hands off to Bailey off tackle right. He has the 1st down inside the 10. Rivera brings him down. I think Chris Moore wanted a field goal, but Coach Saipot said, no, we'll keep it. Bailey down to the 9. 1st and goal from the 9. With 6:09 to go in the 4th. Arnold is in the backfield here. First and goal from the 9, 3 receivers right. Arnold now to the left of Petrillo, out of the gun, and we get a whistle and a flag down. Clock will stop at 5:53. We'll see what referee James Dolan has to say. Offsides against Perth Amboy. So that'll be half the distance to the goal. That'll put it at about the 4. So first and goal from the 4. And most likely this will be the last series for the Raiders no matter what, even if they get the ball back, I would think. Raiders trying to get their line here together. Chris Arnold in the backfield to the left of Petrillo. 2 receivers right. Herrera is the tight end. Chich out of the gun, takes the snap, drops back, throws it, left side end zone. Incomplete. There's nobody there. I think Leon Lowry was Leon was the only one in the area. It'll be second and goal. So the Raiders will look forward to senior night next Friday night against East Brunswick. East Brunswick still looking for their first win of the season. And it looks like, from what I could tell from Marcus Borden, it looks like Piscataway is going to win that game. As Petrillo takes a snap out of the gun, hands off to Arnold, breaks a tackle, and he's in. Touchdown, North Brunswick Raiders. Chris Arnold. From 4 yards out. And the Raiders lead it 47-0. Second touchdown run of the night for Arnold. For Chris, that's rushing touchdown number 5 this year. Aaron R. will kick the extra point here. And gets past Petrillo all the way to R. R running right. And he's going to try to throw it. And incomplete. Looking for Samad Wingo. The snap went off of Chich and bounced to R. And R tried to throw it to Wingo, but no good. And so with 4:37 remaining in the fourth, and maybe I'll have to talk to Coach Moore about winning that field goal. But 47-0, Raiders in front. We'll break, and we'll come back with Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
It's time for another look at this date in Raiders football history, where we take a look back at North Brunswick Raiders football from yesteryear. On this date, October the 19th, the Raiders have an 0-3 lifetime record, having lost in 1990, 2001, and 2012. The most recent being 2012, of course, a 55-7 loss to Sayreville. That is a brief look at this date in Raiders football history. We'll be back with more of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network.
We come back with 4:37 remaining in the fourth. The Raiders lead it 47-0. Aaron R. will kick from right to left. Whoop. Oh, okay. Marquise Perry will kick off here from right to left. Thank you, Coach Mar. Appreciate it. And so a high kick over to the far side and picked up there. And he's going to be tackled. On the return for Perth Amboy was Hector Caba, but didn't get very far. So, 1st and 10, Perth Amboy, with 4:09 and counting remaining in the fourth, most likely the final possession of the game here. And so for the first time since 2003, the Raiders will have a 7-game winning streak. Wait, we got a penalty. Unsportsmanlike, it looks like, against Perth Amboy. So Perth Amboy hit with an unsportsmanlike late in the game. I mean, listen, if you're Perth Amboy, you just want to get on the bus and go home. So there's no need for any extraness. My wife would say to my son, just stop being extra. Anyway, half the distance to the goal on the personal foul. So Perth Amboy will start at their own 10-yard line. 1st and 10 from the 10, 3:54 and counting remaining. It looks like the backups are in the game for the Raiders. I see Marquise Perry out there. I see Jaden Myers out there. So, yeah, the second unit is in. Meanwhile, I formation here. And handoff to Mario Luna. Comes to the near side. Cuts it back in. Gets to about the 20. And he is tackled there. So Luna gets a first down. Anything basically from here on out is basically stat time. Some people call it garbage time. I'll call it stat time. 1st and 10 from the 22 for Amboy. 3:05 remains in the 4th. And so I formation here. And Saucedo takes the snap, hands off. This is Kaba. This is Nestor Kaba, and he is dropped. Well, so much for that. Isaiah Oduro, number 71. He's a big guy, too. So, ball is at the 20-yard line, loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Oduro goes, he's a junior. He goes at 6 feet, 250 pounds. I do not want to see him in any unlit places in the parking lot. 2nd and 12 from the 20, I formation. And taking the snap is Saucedo, hands off, running left. That's Rivera, it looks like. He's out of bounds at about the 31. Tackle made by Deshaun Baker, it looks like. So 1:50 to go. Ball spotted at the 33, so gain of 13 for Rivera, 1st and 10. So the Raiders will face East Brunswick on senior night next week. East Brunswick, again, still looking for their first win. They play Monroe tonight, who is also winless. So one of those teams will have a win. So taking the snap, hands off, Mario Luna to the near side, and he is tackled at the 40. Number 81, Karan Barber, on the tackle. And 1:10 left to go. Second and 3 here from the 40 with a minute to go. And so for the Raiders and Mike Sidepot, have to be very happy with what you've seen these past several weeks. High formation here. And movement and offside. Joe Milius, neutral zone infraction, if you will. It'll be 5 yards to the 45. That'll be a first down. So 1st and 10, Perth Amboy from their own 45, 37 seconds to go. I formation for Saucedo under center and drops the snap and runs left. 45 and turns the corner, gets to midfield, ball loose, and I think Perth Amboy recovered it. So Perth Amboy recovers the fumble. Dan Barbero on the tackle. And that's going to do it. 8 seconds left, and Perth Amboy will not run another play here. And both teams will line up at midfield as that will do it. This game is over, and the North Brunswick Raiders shut out the Perth Amboy Panthers by a score of 47-0 here at Steve Libro Field. The Raiders now improve to 7-1 on the season. For the first time since 2000, the Raiders are 7-1. Everything went the Raiders' way tonight. Another pick 6 for North Brunswick for the defense, this time Sean Berhini. Chris Arnold with a pair of touchdowns. Miles Bailey with a pair of touchdowns. Another 100-yard performance on the night for Bailey. And so the Raiders roll on. And so North Brunswick will now look ahead to East Brunswick on senior night Brahini also catching a touchdown pass on offense, so one on both sides of the ball for Brahini. Manny Herrera with a touchdown reception. So the Raiders handling business here tonight. So with that, our next broadcast of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network will be next Friday night. It will be senior night here at Steve Libro Field, when the North Brunswick Raiders will take on the East Brunswick Bears. Game time is at 7 o'clock. Raiders Live pregame presented by the Cow Team at Remax Country will begin at 6:30. I got to catch up all over. So my thanks to Jason Swain on the public address. But game time is 7 next Friday, and Raiders Live pregame presented by the Cow Team at Remax Country at 6:30. Site supervisor here at MBTHS is Lisa Barkley. The athletic director is Sean Morrell. Until next Friday night, this is Corbett Thompson saying goodbye, Godspeed. We thank you for listening to this edition of North Brunswick Raiders football on the King James Radio Network. And, of course, my thanks to head coach Mike Sipot, Brandon Outlaw in the pregame, and Aaron Carter from the 2003 North Brunswick Raiders at halftime. Your final score here, the North Brunswick Raiders 47 and the Perth Amboy Panthers nothing. We will talk to you a week from tonight, next Friday, for senior night. Until then, you folks, have a good night.